We've all been there, right? That feeling of like total satisfaction after you absolutely crush a workout, then like a day or two later, dot,
Well,
bam, you're hit with that I can barely move muscle soreness.
yeah, the price we pay for pushing our limits.
Exactly. That's what we're diving into today. It's called DOMS, Delayed Onset Muscle Soreness, and it's kind of a love-hate thing, right?
It definitely
But what
is.
if I told you there's a way to maybe make a little more peace with DOMS?
I'm all ears.
Today we're going deep into the science behind muscle recovery, why it happens, and most importantly, what you can actually do to bounce back faster and stronger. So ready to unlock the secrets of recovery?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people, they don't realize that recovery, it's just as important as the workout itself.
Totally agree.
So let's break it down. Let's look at what's going on in those sore muscles and how we can optimize, really get the most out of that recovery period.
Perfect. You know, I was actually just trying a new squat variation the other day, and, well, let's just say walking down the stairs the next day was a humbling experience.
Sounds familiar.
Is that DOMS in action?
Yeah, that's a classic example. So DOMS, that pain, that stiffness that kicks in usually about 24 to 72 hours after a workout.
Okay.
It's basically your body's way of saying, hey, we pushed hard, now we're in repair mode.
I like that.
It's a response to microscopic damage, tiny little tears in your muscle fibers, especially with these things called eccentric movements.
Okay, so it's not just about lactic acid buildup? See, I thought that's what DOMS was all about.
That's a common misconception.
Interesting.
Lactic acid does play a role, but it's cleared out pretty quickly. Those eccentric movements, those are the real DOMS triggers.
So what are eccentric movements exactly?
So imagine you're lowering yourself down into a squat, right?
Okay.
Your muscles, they're working hard to control that descent. They're lengthening under tension, and that's what causes those tiny micro tears in the muscle fibers.
Ah, that makes sense.
And it's not a bad thing.
Oh.
It's actually how your muscles rebuild and get stronger. But that rebuilding process does involve inflammation, and that's where that soreness comes in. Even something like walking downhill, those are constant eccentric contractions as you're controlling your descent.
Wow, I never even thought about that. So it really is our bodies kind of saying, hey, we worked hard, now we're in rebuild mode.
Exactly.
Okay, so where does nutrition fit into all of this? Because I'm always looking for ways to, maybe make that whole DOMS experience a little less intense.
Well, you're in luck because nutrition, it's like your secret weapon when it comes to recovery. It's
Right.
more than just protein, although protein is super important.
Okay, so what I eat can actually help me recover faster.
Absolutely. Think of protein as the building blocks for repair. It provides those essential amino acids that your muscles need to repair those tiny tears we were talking about.
So it's all about giving your body the right tools to rebuild.
Exactly. There was a study a while back, Phillips and Van Loon, they found that getting enough protein after a workout can really reduce how bad that DOM soreness gets.
Okay, so protein, crucial. What else should we be focusing on?
Carbs. Don't forget the carbs.
Ah, yes.
Carbs, they're essential for replenishing your energy stores. You burn through those during your workout, so opt for those good carbs, whole grains, fruits, veggies.
Gotcha. Not just loading up on sugary snacks after a workout, though I do love those.
Right. Think of it as fueling your body for repair work.
So we've got protein for repair, carbs for energy, anything else?
Don't underestimate the power of healthy fats.
Oh, healthy fats. Okay.
They've got those anti-inflammatory properties. Think avocados, nuts, olive oil, things like that.
So it's about getting a balance of all those nutrients. Now, timing must be important too, right? Like, when should I be eating all of this? Right before a workout, right after.
You're right. Timing is key. There's a window of about 30 minutes to an hour after you finish your workout. That's when your muscles are really primed to soak up those nutrients. So aim for a good balance of protein and carbs in that time frame to kind of jumpstart that recovery process.
That magic window.
Yeah. And speaking of important things for recovery, let's talk about hydration.
All right, staying hydrated. I know it's important in general, but how crucial are we talking for minimizing DOMS?
Hydration, it's absolutely vital, especially when it comes to creating that optimal environment for your muscles to repair.
So more than just, not being thirsty after a workout.
Exactly. It's more than just quenching your thirst. Think about it. Your muscles, they're out 75% water.
Wow, really?
So even if you're just a little bit dehydrated, it can really impact how well they function. There was a study, McDermott and his team, back in 2017. They looked at this and they found that hydration was so important for athletes, especially for muscle function and reducing inflammation. And, when your muscles are inflamed, that's when you feel that DOMS pain.
Makes sense. Okay, so we're fueling our bodies right, we're staying hydrated, but what about actually dealing with that soreness? Should I just resign myself to the couch for a few days until it subsides?
A lot of people think that rest means complete inactivity.
Right.
But that's actually not the best approach. Being totally passive, it can actually slow down your recovery.
Really?
Yeah,
I
this
think
is where something called active recovery comes in.
active recovery. So you're saying when I'm sore, I should be moving more.
I know it sounds a little counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But trust me on this, we're not talking about going and doing another crazy intense workout or anything.
Okay, good.
Active recovery, it just means doing some gentle, low-impact exercises, things that get the blood flowing without putting too much stress on your muscles.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. So what kind of activities are we talking about? Give me some examples.
Sure. Think like walking, light swimming, maybe some leisurely cycling, even some gentle yoga can be great.
Mhm.
These kinds of activities, they help to flesh out metabolic byproducts that can build up in your muscles, which actually contribute to soreness. Plus, they help to reduce inflammation and improve circulation, which, you guessed it, speeds up recovery.
So it's kind of like you're giving your muscles a little nudge in the right direction. You're helping them along in that whole recovery process.
Exactly.
Now, what about stretching? I always hear about how important it is to stretch after a workout. How does that fit into everything?
Stretching is key, and there are actually two main types we want to think about: static stretching and dynamic stretching.
Okay, so break it down for me. What's the difference?
So static stretching is probably what comes to mind when you think of stretching.
Holding a pose, yeah.
Exactly. You hold a pose for, 20, 30 seconds, sometimes longer. And it's fantastic for improving flexibility, and it's great for after a workout when your muscles are feeling a little tight. Dynamic stretching, on the other hand, that involves more movement. You're moving your joints through a range of motion. Think arm circles, leg swings, things like that.
Right, right.
And that's actually better to do before a workout as part of your warm-up, helps to get the blood flowing, increase your range of motion, things like that. There was some really interesting research on this. Beardsley and Eckerabot, back in 2015, they looked at all this.
Interesting. So static stretching after, dynamic stretching before.
Got it.
Now, what about foam rolling? I see those foam rollers at the gym.
Ah, yes, the foam roller.
They always look a little bit intimidating.
Don't let it intimidate you. Think of it like giving yourself a massage.
Okay.
But instead of your hands, you're using this foam roller to really target your muscles and what's called your fascia.
Fascia, okay. Heard that term before. What is fascia exactly?
It's a thin layer of connective tissue that kind of surrounds all your muscles.
Okay.
And when you're working out, pushing yourself, you can actively develop these tiny little knots or adhesions in the fascia. And those knots, they can actually make your muscles feel stiff, tight, achy, you name it. So that's where the foam roller comes in. It helps to kind of smooth out those knots, increase blood flow to those areas. And you know what that means, right?
Less soreness.
Exactly. It can really work wonders. I used to have a lot of trouble with tight hamstrings after my long runs.
Oh, yeah. I feel that.
But I started foam rolling regularly, and honestly, it's made a huge difference.
Okay, you've convinced me. I need to give that a try. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk supplements. I feel like there are so many supplements out there that all claim to be like miracle cures for muscle soreness. Any truth to any of that?
It's important to be realistic about supplements, right? They can definitely be helpful tools, but I always tell people they're not miracle cures.
Right, right.
There are definitely some that have shown promise in terms of reducing inflammation, helping with muscle recovery,
Yeah.
but the research is still ongoing.
So which ones have some decent science backing them up?
Well, one that comes to mind is curcumin. You familiar with that?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's the active compound in turmeric.
Oh, right. Turmeric.
And it's a really powerful anti-inflammatory. There was a study a while back, I think it was McFarlane and his colleagues, 2013. They found that curcumin supplements actually reduced muscle damage after exercise and even reduced soreness. Another one, omega-3 fatty acids.
Yeah, the good fats.
Exactly. You find them in fatty fish like salmon, things like that.
So maybe I'll swap my post-workout fries for some salmon next
There you
time.
go. That's the spirit. You also see BCAAs, which are branched-chain amino acids and antioxidants marketed for muscle recovery.
Yeah, I've definitely seen those.
The research on those is a bit more mixed. They might help some people, but it seems to really vary from person to person.
Okay, so with all this information, all these different factors that play a role, how do I figure out what's actually going to work best for me and my body?
That is the million-dollar question, right?
It really is.
Because everybody is different.
It's not one size fits all.
Exactly. Your age, your training history, even your genetics, and of course your diet. All these things can influence how your body responds to exercise and how quickly you recover.
So how do I cut through all the noise? How do I actually figure out a personalized recovery plan?
Well, it's all about paying attention to your body.
Right.
One of the most powerful tools you have is a training journal.
A training journal. I have to admit, I'm not always great about keeping up with mine.
It's worth it.
Okay.
And it's more than just like, writing down your sets and reps. It's about tuning into how your body feels.
Yeah.
So notice, how do your muscles feel after different workouts? What did you eat that day? How much sleep did you get? Even like, what's your stress level? You'll start to notice patterns, you
Yeah.
know? You'll start to see what helps you recover best.
So it's really about almost like becoming your own scientist, paying attention to those individual nuances.
Yes, exactly. It's about working with your body, not against it. So you'll learn when you might need to take an extra rest day, or when some light yoga might be really beneficial, or if you just need to up your protein intake that day. It's all about listening to those internal cues.
That makes a lot of sense. This has been so eye-opening. I think I always kind of thought of recovery as an afterthought, but it's really not. It's its own process.
Absolutely. And those sore muscles, they're actually a good thing, even though we like to complain about them.
Yeah.
It means you challenged your body, you pushed your limits, and your body is responding by getting stronger.
It's like a badge of honor,
Exactly.
one that you kind of want to fade quickly so you can get back to training.
Right.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they kind of go on their own recovery journeys?
I would say embrace the process. It's a journey. It really is. And it's not just about bouncing back from one single workout. It's about optimizing your body's ability to adapt, to grow over time. So listen to your body, apply these strategies, be patient, and I promise you, you will be amazed at what you can achieve.
Love it. That's a great place to end it. So there you have it. Your crash course in hopefully conquering DOMs. Remember those sore muscles, they're a good thing, but how you recover. Well, that determines what you actually gain from all that hard work. Now, one final thing to ponder, because we've talked a lot about active recovery, nutrition, hydration, all that good stuff, but where does sleep fit into all of this? Something to think about, and maybe a topic for a future deep dive. Until then, happy training and even happier recovering.